Now that you've chosen your homeschooling program, you'll need to actually register or notify with that homeschooling program. So to do that, you'll need two documents. And again, for those of you who have watched the very first video, this will sound very familiar. You'll need the notification form and the education program plan. So the notification form is a government provided form, and the education program plan can be a school provided form, or it can be a form that you, the parent, can create from scratch. You'll need to use or cover the criteria that is required by Alberta Education to be included in an education program plan. But if you really want to create your own from scratch, you can, or you can use the template that the school most schools do provide a template for you to use. So again, those are the two forms that you need to use in order to notify or register as a homeschooling parent. Now those two forms are due by September 30th of a given school year if you want to receive the funding for home education. Most school programs will accept, well, I shouldn't say that. We at The will accept a student after September 30th, meaning that a student won't have funding, but we will accept a student up until mid-April or so of a school year. We do require a fee to cover the costs, which are really our costs, for that student who would join late and without funding. But when you register by September 30th, which is called the count date, your son or daughter will receive the full funding for the school year. And just a word of caution, if you are new to home schooling and coming to us from a teacher-directed school program, just be aware of the deadline, which is September 30th, the count date. For your son or daughter to receive the funding for home education for the school year, your son or daughter must not be physically present in the school on the last day of September. So the rule here for funding in Alberta is that wherever that student is on the last day of September, sometimes the 30th of September doesn't land on a school day, lands on a weekend. So let's say Friday the 28th or something like that. Make sure your son or daughter is not physically anywhere on the school, and you, the parent, don't even go to the school on that date. So because the school will take attendance and claim the funding for your son or daughter, and you won't have funding for the whole school year. So be aware of pizza parties on the count date. Again, sometimes it's a Friday if it's not September 30th, right? So September 30th or the last day of September, make sure, and I would even back up that day. Don't even have your son or daughter be at the school as soon as you decide to home educate, make sure your son or daughter is not physically in that school. Otherwise, you'll lose the funding. Sometimes school administrators will have a pizza party on the count date. Or they'll say, oh, why don't you have your son or daughter come in on that last day of September and clear out the locker, say goodbye to friends, whatever. Well, they're saying that because that principal or whoever's telling you that knows that the funding for your son or daughter will stay at the school if your son or daughter is physically at the school on the count date. So just a word of caution there. So anyway, that is really all you need for registration. Again, it's the notification form plus the program plan. We at The are going online with our registration process, and above me you will see the web page information for finding the instructions on how to complete your registration process online. So if you have any questions, as always, you can contact us here about the registration process. Also, just to throw this in there as well, you'll need to have a copy of a birth certificate or other visa document along with the notification form and registration, along with the notification form and program plan.